At this time, we'll call to order the regular meeting of Common Council. This is May 20th, 2025. Carrie, roll, please.
Alderperson Carpenter.
Here.
Estercon.
Here.
Gantz.
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
Kuniger.
Here.
Ledvina.
Here.
P-Rock.
Here.
Quigley.
Here.
Mayor Boyd.
I am here. Thank you. Item 2, Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Take me out with
Item 3, approval of the minutes of the May 6, 2025 Common Council meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion, Alderperson Carpenter, seconded by Alderperson Ledman. Discussion or comments? Seeing there are none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Up next, item 4, public hearing to act on May 25th amendments to Municipal Code Chapter 14 zoning ordinance and the official zoning map. Will the clerk please read the notice?
The notice of public hearing was published in the Press Times on May 2nd and May 9th, 2025.
Thank you. Recommendation from Plan Commission, Dan.
Thank you, Mayor. The item in front of you tonight is what we would classify as an annual update. The zoning code was adopted in January of 2023, or it became live January 2023. During that year, we had made quarterly updates to kind of correct some of the things that we didn't anticipate right off the bat, and those were items that were identified as kind of immediately pressing needs. Over the course of the calendar year 2024, staff was collecting, I guess you would say, additional revisions during that time. Nothing was to the point of pressing need that it became immediate that we had to bring it to Plan Commission. So over that time, we collected a slew of proposed changes that was discussed at the Plan Commission last month. So as a result, Plan Commission heard from staff identifying each of the proposed changes, and that is in your packet tonight, identifying various level items via text changes, a couple map corrections that were done in error, and then a few other changes that are, I guess you'd say, more substantial, but actually as a result of actions that the Plan Commission and Council has made over the past 2 years. So we've taken all the public, or all the comments that we've heard over the past 2 years about developments, incorporated them in here, and then that was what was presented forward. Plan Commission heard from staff and unanimously recommended approval.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing open on this item on the agenda. If someone in person, which appears not, if anyone virtually wants to make any comments while the public hearing is now open, now is your time. Please just state your name if you're virtual. For the second time, while the public hearing is open on item 4, now is your time to speak. For the third and final time, while the public hearing is open on this item on the agenda, you can speak at this time. It appears there's no one, so I'll declare the public hearing closed and would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Hanson, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Discussion or comments? Alderperson Hanson.
Yeah, Dan, one of the new changes since Plan Commission for convenience goods says exclusive smoke and vape shops where smoking, vaping, and related accessories are the primary sales are prohibited. Is that going to affect any existing businesses?
So this was a request that sort of came up because of something that was approached at the Plan Commission last year, as we remember, down on 3rd and that area. So that one we missed at the Plan Commission meeting, but why it's up here tonight. Anything that is an existing use would be, I guess you'd say, for lack of a better term, grandfathered, but non-conforming at this point. And that is, again, because a decision and a discussion point that was made at the Plan Commission, like I said, last year. And again, if it's your primary, that's when it would be, I guess, you considered what we're not looking as classifying as a retail. If we want to add it back in as a separate standalone use at a later date, we can, but we felt that lumping that in with general retail sales was not something that the Plan Commission had previously stated that we wanted to do. So again, if it's as part of a gas station or anything else like that, that's an ancillary from the primary use of other retail sales, but when you're standalone, that's what was the proposed change.
Okay. And then can you just give a quick summary of the changes to the masonry versus metal facade requirements?
Yep. So on page 8 of the 17-page packet that identified those changes, you'll notice that there's a table 9-1. When that was originally prepared in 2018, 19, and 20, What that originally stated was that metal panel systems are allowed in a variety of districts, including, I guess you'd say, our P districts and our X districts, and several of our other districts, provided that they were 35% ground level masonry. We sort of felt that wasn't what we probably should have intended when it was a multi-story building. If it's a single-story building in a business park, 35% ground level masonry sort of makes sense. When you're in a downtown on a 3, 4, 5-story building, 35% ground level masonry, and then the rest of it being a metal panel system was not originally what was intended. So the change now includes two different sectors for metal and a metal panel system, one of which is in the multi-story MX or the X districts, and then the rest of it being that same standard in the P districts, the BP, and the I districts. So still kept that standard for single story in those ones, but in multi-story it's 35% ground level masonry, brick approved masonry units, or that you see of those other materials above, and then starting at grade for a minimum of 1 story with the balance of it being distributed throughout. So 35% of the facade has to be that brick or other material versus just 35% of the ground floor. That's the change on that one. And that 35% was discussed, but it is up to the council's discretion at that number.
And the first floor has to be all masonry, correct?
All
under
masonry.
These changes?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Other questions or comments? All right, that said, we have a roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Carpenter.
Aye.
Essercon.
Aye.
Gantz.
Aye.
Hanson.
Aye.
Coniger.
Aye.
Ledvina.
Aye.
Pirock.
Aye.
Quigley.
Aye.
Mayor Boyd.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 5, public hearing to act on a request to terminate 13 conditional use resolutions on property owned by St. Norbert College. Will the clerk please read the notice of public hearing?
The notice was published on May 2nd and May 9th of 2025 in the Press Times.
Thank you. Recommendation from Plan Commission, Dan.
Thank you, Mayor. One of the items that has resulted from our new zoning code is we have taken the approach to work with the state statutes and reduce the amount of conditional use permits that we authorize in the city. The reason for that is the state really put, I guess you'd say, more stringent standards on the use of conditional use permits or conditional uses. So as a result, under the new zoning code, when it was adopted, we brought in more development standards for permitted uses by right. And as a result of that one, our conditional uses are becoming less and less. That being said, is with that standard, development services and planning staff are working towards cleaning up our zoning map. And what I mean by zoning map is all the zoning districts, all the conditional uses, all of our old planned development districts, and trying to do some cleanup actions. This is one of our first attempts to clean up unused conditional use permits, or stuff that still was adopted by ordinance and still sits out there, but it's our opportunity to now, I guess you say, correct the map and remove items that are no longer relevant, either because they are not in operation, the building where they're located is no longer there, or 3, the St. Norbert didn't even know that they had them outstanding at this point. So in conversations with St. Norbert, they were willing to relinquish these old conditional use permits, and as a result, Plan Commission heard from staff and recommended approval of removing these from our zoning map.
Thank you. At this time, I declare the public hearing open for item 5 on the agenda. Anyone in person or virtually want to speak on this item, now is your time to state your name. For the second time, while the public hearing is open regarding item 5, if you want to speak, just state your name. Third and final time, public hearing regarding item 5 on the agenda. Now's your time to speak. It appears there's no one, so I'll declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Carpenter, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Discussion or comments? All right, appears there are none. That said, roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Essercon.
Aye.
Gantz.
Aye.
Hanson.
Aye.
Coniger.
Aye.
Ledvina.
Aye.
Pirock.
Aye.
Quigley.
Aye.
Mayor Boyd.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, public comment upon matters not on the agenda. Comments made during the public comment period shall pertain only to matters under the jurisdiction of the Common Council. Anyone in person or virtually have any public comments upon matters not on the agenda? If so, now is your time to state your name. For the second time, any public comment upon matters not on the agenda? For the third and final time, any public comment upon matters not on the agenda? All right, we will move on. Item 7, recommendation from Board of Public Works to authorize rental service agreement with Bay Towel for rugs and towels for City Hall and the Police Department, and with Unifirst Corporation, Cintas, for rugs and towels at the Municipal Service Center.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion, Alderperson Carpenter, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Discussion or comments? We have none. That said, roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Gantz,
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Coniger,
Aye.
Ledvina,
Aye.
Pirock,
Aye.
Quigley,
Aye.
Mayor Boyd,
Aye.
Carpenter,
Aye.
Essercon.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Item 8, recommendation from the Board of Public Works on award of contract 2507 curb repair and street resurfacing to Northeast Asphalt in the amount of $747,520.60. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by myself, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. Discussion or comments? Appears we have none. Roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Hanson,
Aye.
Coniger,
Aye.
Ledvina,
Aye.
Pirock,
Aye.
Quigley,
Aye.
Mayor Boyd,
Aye.
Carpenter,
Aye.
Essercon,
Aye.
Gantz.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Item 9, recommendation from the Board of Public Works on award of contract 2508 internal sewer spot repairs to Aqualis in the amount of $74,850.05.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Hanson, seconded by Alderperson Quigley. Discussion or comments? All right, we have none. Roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Coniger,
Aye.
Ledvina,
Aye.
Pirock,
Aye.
Quigley,
Aye.
Mayor Boyd,
Aye.
Carpenter,
Aye.
Essercon,
Aye.
Gantz,
Aye.
Hanson.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Item 10, recommendation from the License Committee on application for special permits allowing consumption of alcohol beverages on public ways submitted by Definitely De Pere for the following events. We'll take them one at a time. First one, Downtown De Pere Farmers Market on Thursday evenings beginning June 5th through September 25th from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. and then 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. in September.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Carpenter, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Discussion or comments? There are none. That said, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Up next, Downtown De Pere Art Night, Friday, June 13th, July 11th, August 8th, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's our understanding has been canceled, so we will not vote on those. We're going to go to the next one. Tour De Pere on Sunday, June 22nd and Monday, June 23rd, from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson P-Rock, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Discussion or comments? Looks like there are none. That said, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 11. Recommendation from the License Committee on renewal applications for the licensing period of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. Up first, Class A fermented malt beverage license.
Make a motion to approve the loan applicant.
Second.
Motion by Alderperson Carpenter, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. Discussion or comments? We have none. That said, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Up next, Class A fermented malt beverage, Class A intoxicating liquor licenses.
Make a motion to approve the
I'll
four
second.
applicants.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Carpenter, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Discussion, comments? Alderperson Quigley.
I'm going to abstain because I have a connection to one of those establishments.
Very good. Other comments?
Are we on Class A?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
Nope, I think it's number
B?
6.
I might be on the wrong one. Sorry.
Do you want to double check? You think he's okay with this one?
I think he's okay with this one.
Okay,
I think
thank
you're
you.
okay with this one. You can vote on this one.
All right, and I
I'll
shall.
take that back. All right, any other questions or comments? Seems there are no more. That said, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Up next, Class B fermented malt beverage and Class B intoxicating liquor licenses. Questions, comments? Alderperson Quigley.
Yeah, that thing,
All right, want to abstain.
please.
Other questions or comments?
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by, sorry,
Roll it.
thank you. Motion by Alderperson P-Rock, second by Alderperson Gantz. I got this far and everything, didn't I? We have a motion and a second. Alderperson Quigley then stated that he will abstain. That said, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstaining. And that will be Alderperson Quigley. So the motion passes with Alderperson Quigley abstaining. Thank you, Alderperson P-Rock. Item 12, recommendation from Finance and Personnel Committee on award of contract 2516, Interstate Highway 41 city sign replacement to Elevate 97 in the amount of $101,555.60.
I'll move to approve. I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Conacher, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Discussion or comments? For those that are out there, if you look at the agenda packet, it's in there so you can see it. We also showed it at State of De Pere as well. So we think a big upgrade on the sign that's on 41.
Because it'll work.
Light up and everything, change colors, as we are told. All right, that said, roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Ledvina.
Aye.
P-Rock.
Aye.
Quigley.
Aye.
Mayor Boyd.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Esther Khan.
Aye.
Gantz.
Aye.
Hanson.
Aye.
Conacher.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Item 13, recommendation from Finance Personnel Committee to purchase a Bandit chipper for the Parks Department, with funding to be included in the 2025 borrowing schedule in the amount of $98,201.20. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Conacher. Discussion or comments? Alderperson Carpenter.
Yes. A few questions on this.
Sure.
Reading the memo, it's when it's broken for the park department, then they use the street departments. How come, number one, why aren't we having this turned over to our attorney or something? Or if I had something this long and was having issues with it, I wouldn't be playing around, especially when we have access to an attorney.
That's already been done.
Okay, and then number two is, does the street department chipper go out all the time? I understand the park department gets used a lot, so.
Scott can probably better answer the frequency, but I do not believe their chipper goes out daily like ours does. They do use them. They're not exactly set up the way ours is. Ours has a winch for heavier logs, so they are usable, but they are not equipped the same way that ours is. So it would be a little bit inefficient to use. So
was ours purchased with a winch on it?
yes.
Okay, I was just curious, so you couldn't somehow switch that winch over? I'm just switching one department, switching the one that's not as dependable over to the street department. The street department's not using it all the time.
Yeah.
As often, and have a reliable one until we get this. I don't know where it's standing in the legal realm of anything, but I just think it's foolish to purchase another one, and now we're going to have to decide what we're going to do with this other one.
Going back to the original question, so Tom actually, and Tom can probably verify if I'm off base on this, but Tom talked in length with Eric Erdman on this, and due to the type of equipment it does not qualify for the so-called lemon law. So our only course of action is to keep on this with them to fix it under warranty. So up until this point, everything has been paid for under warranty. However, they still have not fixed it. And it's after 10 different times over 3 years or ever since 2020, 4 to 5 years, it seems evident that not only the manufacturer but the engine maker don't understand what's going on. So how long will it take to get it fixed? Who knows? But we don't have the ability to go after the so-called lemon law.
And I understand that, but it's hard to believe, I'm not gonna say it, but you would think a company like this wouldn't want the bad name out there, would be almost willing to swap something, make a deal, or do something without getting a bad reputation, because you can
Yeah,
really destroy them. I'm just gonna be plain.
I had the same thought as you, Alderperson Carpenter. Unfortunately, I don't think the company did.
Marty,
Trying
can
to say it
you, and I'm
politely.
trying to remember correctly, I think we all echo the sentiment that you're feeling. This chipper has been under the skin of many for a while. Marty and his team are trying to find the best solution. So as related to the existing chipper, thoughts on a possible sale or how we might move forward and maybe recouping some of the funds at some point?
There's multiple ways we can go with this. If we would want to, we could trade the chipper in. Right now, unfortunately, the chipper in its condition is not worth much. So we got an estimate of $5,000 in trade-in value from one of the companies. Well, to me, we could probably part it out and get more money for it. If we are able to actually get this fixed somehow, then there's value to it. That's why I put in my memo, I think we should continue to fight the good fight under warranty and keep pushing to some point that we can get this running and fixed. And then my suggestion, I didn't put it on the memo, but my suggestion would be that we sell it and then try to recoup some of our money back. But again, right now, in its current condition, it's not worth very much.
And then be honest, if you were gonna go sell it, if somebody asks you why you're selling it, you gotta almost be upfront and say what's wrong. I don't think we'd be very good people. I'll just say that much. And okay.
Yep.
Thank you
Are
very
you in the market for a chipper?
much. Well, for $5,000, I will be.
Well, there we go. That's what it's all about, huh?
But no, I'm just,
Gonna have it-
I mean, if
gonna
you
sell it.
purchase a vehicle, I understand this is a total different from a vehicle, but it's just hard to believe that that it's gone this long
Yeah.
and I'm not saying nobody tried or anything. Don't get me wrong on this. I do believe staff has put in a lot of effort, but it's just, I can't believe
did.
it.
Yep,
Okay.
a lot of
Had enough
anxiety.
discussion. We'll move on.
No problem. I mean, they're actually very valid questions, and they were addressed quite well by Marty, so these are good questions. Other questions or comments that we have? Alderperson Hanson.
And for those who might be watching, the bid that we're looking to accept would be a different company from the one that we've had the issues with, so.
Correct.
Very good. Yep. Good point. And we're going to borrow as well. Correct? It's going in the borrowing schedule?
After, discussions with our finance director, it was recommended to put it into the 2025 borrowing.
Very good. Thank you. Other questions or comments? After all this, we do have a motion and a second, correct? Okay. That said, roll call vote, please.
Alderperson P-Rock,
Aye.
Quigley,
Aye.
Mayor Boyd,
Aye.
Carpenter,
Aye.
Esser Khan,
Aye.
Gantz,
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Coniger, Ledvina.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Item 14, this is for informational discussion only. We're going to discuss the Southbridge Connector project, and we're going to go right to Scott on this one.
Well, I guess what I'll start with is it's in your packet, but I want to share with any of those that are watching in the community, kind of explain the project. The Southbridge Connector project, as the county calls it, is basically broken up into 5 sections within the pier, the interchange the DOT is doing, and then the one section in the town of Lawrence. Basically, the total project, including the interchange, the town of Lawrence and our segments, is approximately $183 million. Each segment, that is up there, we do have a cost sharing in it. There's a schedule that goes along with this. I'll pull that up real quick. But one of the biggest things I wanted to let all those know, not only at the council, but also actually in the community, everything that's in your packet and then some is actually, the Brown County does a very great job of keeping everything with the Southbridge Connector up to date, where we're at, designs, public informationals, that sort of thing. The map I started with is actually on Southbridge, the connector page. The link that you have in your memo brings it to you. If you do a Google search the Salt Bridge connector. I'll bring you to this page. Shows the map here with the different segments. The segments, in De Pere itself, GV14, which is under construction right now as we speak, is basically from Innovation Court over to Lawrence Drive. Lawrence Drive and Salt Bridge is actually shut down right now for construction. That'll be completed this fall. The next section, GV15, which is Lawrence Drive to Lost Dauphin, is in design as we speak. GV16 is basically the bridge is Lost Dauphin, the State Highway 57 is the bridge project, and that again is under design. GV17 from 57 to County Highway PP as well as under design, and so is GV18 from PP over to Heritage Road in Ledgeview. The actually section of EB39, which is in the town of Lawrence, is also under construction. So for those that actually may have been, or several of you elected officials, they're at the dedicated groundbreaking ceremony, was over there off of Packerland Drive and Sharing Road. That's that section there, but that actually event was well televised, well attended. For those elected officials that did attend, thank you very much. But it's a huge project for Northeast Wisconsin, not only Brown County, but Northeast Wisconsin. So that kind of marked off, even though the projects have started, kind of the really the official start. The interchange project as we speak, they started early fill out there. As you're aware, the feds and the DOT funded a brand new interchange, which is a great thing because of the fact that actually it took the cost from all the municipalities like De Pere for having to build a new interchange. That is actually going to be a bid, awards a bid earlier this summer, be under construction all this summer with a completion of actually the fall of 2026. And what it'll entail is the goal of EB39 and 14 is once an interchange is open the fall of 36, then that interchange will be open so you can get on from Lawrence Drive, 241, or coming from Packerland on a new section there. Now as far as GV 15, 16, 17, and 18, there's a project schedule. There's also a part of their map. You can see as I scroll down right here, GV 14, the tentative construction is 28, 29. The GV16, the bridge, is about the same time frame. 17 is 28, 29, and actually 18 is 28, 29, and a 30. I know during the bridge groundbreaking, or the corridor groundbreaking ceremony, our county exec announced that hopefully everything by 2030, everything will be open basically from 41 all the way to Heritage Road. There is kind of talk that GV18 may be kicked out a little bit, maybe 31, 32, due to funding and trying to secure other funding. But right now, the way the county's got that schedule out, everything should be done by 2030. They do update these things as they do come along. One of the things, point out, I apologize, I got too many mouses here, but the public informational meeting they just recently had the some of the highlights I did put in your packet, that came from the information they had a couple weeks, or actually a week and a half ago. Generation Boulevard, actually, that's what the council officially elected to choose. That would be the name of the new corridor. In De Pere, instead of South Bridge, it would be Generation Boulevard. Basically, we're proposing at this point right now to go under GV15, to go under the railroad bridge like it does at Red Maple. Now, there's a lot of things going on. We're having, issues. That project alone, when they originally came out with costs, they're expecting some of those costs to actually increase from a previous estimate because the issues with the railroad bridge and what the railroad wants built to accommodate the project. So there's been some delays there that's kind of holding up the design. I know it came through the Board of Public Works and the council kind of get concepts of retaining walls and that sort of thing. That's kind of on hold because there's so many things going back and forth with the actual bridge that's going to be built the railroad wants. That'll affect the retaining wall. So that's up in the air. But right now, one of the things is the estimated cost probably, estimated going to increase maybe up to $10 million, total. Could be higher or lower depending what the actual cost of that bridge to go in. Because one of the things they have to do when they build that bridge, that's an active line. I believe it's maybe a dozen trains a day that goes through there. So they actually have to keep that bridge that railroad line going open all the time. And so what they got to do is, as part of that project, they got to build a temporary railroad bridge. And so that they're going to slide a bridge right in, roll out the mainline track. So there may be a day they may delay it, but it basically the railroad tracks keep going. So build a temporary bridge as they build a new bridge. So that's part of the reason that drives the cost a lot higher. The actual bridge itself, kind of an FYI for council, they're taking a step back on the design. And the reason I say that, they did a value engineering study on that bridge, looking at, they hired a firm to come in and look at ways to save costs, because, the county's doing their diligence to trying to, stretch as many dollars they can and build something that's going to last forever. So some of the streetscape or the amenities you saw on the bridge, they're looking at, for example, the piers in the water. There's discussion about, the piers in the Claude Alloway are full, kind of a wall that goes into the bridge. It supports the girders and stuff. The original cost that we presented here to the council, as far as the aesthetics, they're now looking at potentially drilling shafts in a column. And what that is basically you would have maybe two large, columns, circular in diameter, maybe 10 feet in diameter, holding up a cross beam that supports the girders that go across the bridge. Something like that can save millions of dollars, but they're trying to determine, is it feasible in the Midwest with that type of construction around here. So they're looking at that. And one of the reasons they're trying to look at ways to save money in the bridge, because one of the things, as I indicated earlier on GV15, the cost going up, the feds have told them is kind of a reminder, the GV16 for funding, that actually the county's secured along with the city, basically that's funded entirely with state and federal money. It's a $50 million bridge. So right now, if you look at what's out there online on the county side, it's really not funded by the county or the city at all. It's all with the money that the city and the county obtain. What they have been told is if the design and construction come in at $50 million, some of that money can be shifted over to GV15, which is actually having a little bit of cost overrun, as I explained earlier. So, we don't know what our actual costs are going to be for GV15 at this time. One, because of the design of the railroad bridge and all the other stuff going on, but how much money could be shifted over from actually the bridge project to that. The other things that were talked about at the informational meeting, talked about the intersections where they're going to have roundabouts. Basically, what I showed earlier on the map, the roundabouts are slated for basically Lawrence Drive, American Boulevard. You got a Lost Dolphin. You're going to have at 57. The county's going to have a roundabout at Commerce Drive, PP, and then another roundabout at Heritage. They're also looking at potentially another one. It might be in between PP and Heritage. That has to be worked out. All the other intersections that will exist, kind of connect to the existing corridor, are going to be what we call a right in, right out, meaning basically it's not going to be a full accessible intersection. Like, for example, Enterprise and Rockland Road, you can come to either side of the intersection from north or south, you can turn right or left. That particular intersection, when that corridor is built, the only way you can get on, if you're coming from the south going north, you got to turn right and go east to the roundabout. And then if you're coming south, it's right going west. And that's part of the things they talked about, the limited access intersections at the public informational meeting as well. Another big thing is a wild card right now at GV17. What they're trying to work out is, we all know we've got our well-known Fox River Trail, so we got to actually determine how we get the bikes and pedestrians across there. Right now, it won't be at grade like it is now. It will be most likely a structure. Yeah, we're looking at doing something to go underneath the road, but most likely at this point it's going to be a bridge that's going to go. The trail will go over the corridor on that. Those details have to be worked out. And then basically they did talk about what else did they talk about? Oh, at Old Plank and the bridge, because some of the input they got from the public previously is a lot of people walking that area using the Old Plank Road, which is a rustic road. Being a very busy corridor, the input that they had and they're looking at designing right now is actually having a pedestrian trail crossing underneath the abutment. What that means is, if you're coming from the north on Old Plank going south, you hit the corridor, you won't have to cross the corridor. You go towards the bridge, walk under the bridge, kind of like similar to what our Fox River Trail does. But there's a road there, but then it allows you to get underneath the corridor and then back over and continue walking south. Other than that, financing wise, majority of the actual financing, that our share, as I indicated, GV 16, the bridge, is funded basically by the state and feds. The other portions in GV 14, 15, and a little bit of 17 are funded primarily by our TIDs. So we'll bond for those, borrow for those. The TIDs will reimburse those costs. GV 18 is a wild card. In GV 18, the reason we got such a good share there is because the annexation of the Becker property, all the frontage that hits that. So we got a hefty share there. So that portion will most likely we'll have to bond for it, non-TID related, but it'll have to be bond for. I know Dan and I and other staff will be meeting with the county in the near future, talking about potentially can we rework our agreements, because right now every section, GV 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, has a cost share basis, and what are responsible for cost. We're looking at potentially, can we maybe have one big agreement where we can shift, dollar for dollar we pay the same, but try to shift it where, we can, front load it like the sections like GV 14, 15, and part of 17 where TID can cover the cost. And then that way, say the county pays more on 18 and a little bit more on 17. So overall, the TIDs, we can try to finance everything through TIDs. I do know right now also for financing, the county still continues to pursue actually trying to find other ways of funding. That's one of the things that GV 18 potentially getting delayed because there's a local STP type grant. We did get that funding for 17. The next cycle for 18 is a couple years later. That's why they delay that. Potentially we get funding for 18, which, it would help the city, but Ledgeview as well. Other than that, if you haven't been there on the website, I strongly suggest doing it, because one of the neat things about it is you get on, for example, the map here, we go to say GV 15, you can click on it. Everything that talks about GV 15 from displays, the plans going on, will show it. If you go to 14, which is under construction right now, it talks about, the public information meeting, the construction schedule, staging, and that sort of thing. It's a very, very good tool. We try to advertise it as staff out there to the community. It talks about public information meetings when they had them last. I shared in your packet, the county has been putting newsletters out. So, for example, what's in your packet, and I believe the city manager shared it, this is kind of talking about the Saltbridge corridor. Gives you highlights and updates on that. And then basically, that's going to be something I believe the county is going to put out a couple times a year. The other things is really, through the project team, if you guys are really bored and want a lot of reading material, all the years of environmental, investigation and reporting, environmental documents and impact statements, the record of decision, because I know someone has been asking, you probably still hear, why doesn't the actual corridor go south? Well, through the environmental process, they had different alternatives, but ultimately, they had, through the EIS, environmental impact statement, they narrowed it down, and that's the decision made where we're at. So if anybody asks you, well, we want to delay, or not delay the project, but move it somewhere, that ship has sailed. So as elected officials, let your constituent know how that corridor is moving. It is where it is, and we just got to accept the fact that it's being built in that alignment. So Other than that, I guess that's about all I can present. If there's questions, I think that's what the council is looking for, an update on the South Bridge.
All right, pretty detailed. I'll throw a few things out first. Again, so everyone understands at home that the county has the lead on this project, so we're pretty much a pass-through. So that's why Scott keeps referencing the county website. It is quite informative. The total project cost, I'm not sure we said, $180 million, give or take. Again, we're still lobbying to try to get more money, either us, the county, et cetera. It's funded through, several sources, the federal, state, county, and obviously local municipalities. The county's kicking in 50%, and then the municipalities kick in the rest from there. The share of our funding, like I said, I don't think I said, but $28 million-ish ballpark, and we're going to work hard on bringing that down. We will continue to lobby. He talked about the TIDs. We did a social media post with the detour on South Bridge with Eric and Lawrence Drive, and that got over 20,000 views. So clearly people do like this, and they like the information that the city provides. So I'll kind of recommend as we go forward here, and we'll probably do it a few times, is to do a social media post to get people updates as to where we are right now, because it was very, very well done. And I was shocked by how many people actually viewed that thing for good reasons. So very informative. Thank you very much, Scott. I have some other questions that might be brought up by others as well. So if other people have questions, anyone have anything they want to share? Alderperson Hanson.
Yeah, Scott, so the section from PP to Heritage Road, potentially delaying that a year or two, that's news to me. In your memo, it says that the entire project quarter is anticipated to be complete by fall of 2030. But currently, if you look at the county's timeline, it's showing everything to be done by the end of 2029. Because even like GV 18, it goes to the end of 29, but then it doesn't go into 30 at all.
And like I said, the tentative date is by 2030.
Okay.
So I mean, that's kind of what the calendar is showing. So it's not the end of the construction season 2030, where you're at most at 2031. His intent is most likely by the end of the 29 going into 30.
Okay.
But again, that all changes.
Again, keep in mind, this is the longest project in the history of mankind, from idea in the 1960s to finish 2030.
1967, according to Cole Runge, who brought it up at a
We're looking at
information meeting a ways
60-plus
back.
years, so if we have a change in time from 30 to 32, I think we accept it. Yeah. Alderperson Hanson, keep going, I apologize.
And then Scott, so I was also at the public information meeting, and they did talk about right in, right out on Old Plank Road, but I don't recall them mentioning it on Destiny Drive, Homestead Drive, Enterprise Drive, and Ryan Road. So I wanted to ask specifically about Ryan Road subdivision. So those vehicles, if they're going westbound, most of them go north on Ryan Road till they get to Rockland Road and then take a left. So you're saying now they'd have to take a right, go down to PP, and then kind of just go around a circle?
Correct.
Okay. And that's pretty much like a sure thing, or?
Correct.
Okay.
And the reason we actually. Right mouse?
No, yeah, I got it. The right one.
Sorry.
They're fun, right?
So anyways, we actually had the county evaluate potentially putting it in a roundabout there. We actually had them do a traffic study once school got into place, at that location. The issue that they were having is the location to try to put a roundabout at Enterprise and Ryan Road would cause too much impact for buying the properties. You would be buying the two houses or duplexes at the corner, as well as taking some property on it to fit the roundabout that's similar to that will be either at PP or at Commerce Drive. So they felt it did not warrant, a roundabout there due to the impacts, especially on the right-of-way acquisitions. They felt the functioning that with the roundabout at, PP or even at Commerce Drive, that the residents, have the ability to go east or west just as easy, but it might take them a little longer, just loop down to the roundabout, turn around, and come back.
And then just a comment, I did have quite a few constituents who live like Cornelius Martin Court and that, who wanted a sound barrier, and it sounds like that's not going to happen now. My understanding was they determined that there's 20 properties that are impacted, but the cost to install the sound barrier would be just over $60,000 per impacted property, and it can't be more than $50,000 from a cost-benefit analysis. So that was disappointing, but I did talk to the consultant, and he did say that there's just doesn't seem to be any way to get under $50,000 for cost per benefited property. And he was saying the main thing was just not enough population density in that section.
What about trees?
But that Amy brought up trees, but is there any other kind of alternatives that we could look at as a city?
Right now, is my understanding for noise mitigation, like the mayor said earlier, it's a county project. The warrants that they're doing, and they got to follow the warrants of, the federal and state for the fact because of the funding. They're doing full detail analysis, and this is part of the environmental review. So the warrants they're showing, nothing's justifiable for noise mitigation. So, based on that, I wouldn't recommend anything different based off the professionals that are doing it for noise mitigation and the studies that they're performing.
And then question for Dan quick, if you see like R23, there's a couple of vacant parcels next to that on Old Plank Court. If those were to be developed, have we talked to the county about if that would change the calculus at all?
Well, this one that you see vacant is owned by this individual here.
I'm not sure he's on.
Sorry, this R23, the one that's immediately adjacent to it, is owned by this owner. So unless they were to develop it and sell it and develop it, which has not been intended at this time, it may change the number. But based off of what you and I heard from the consultant, I don't think 2 more units would be enough. Specifically because what ends up happening here is you see these orange dots versus the green dots. They would do a revised study, and what ultimately that is, the green dots, while those are immediately adjacent to the corridor, they don't meet the threshold for increased noise because they're already adjacent to the highway. So the threshold for that, for them, isn't met because their ambient noise levels are already higher than you're seeing R3 through R10 and the rest of them through there. So adding 2 more homes there that don't meet that threshold probably aren't going to hit that point. So that, and this owner here had hoped that somebody would buy him out for the Southern Bridge, and it's not needed on that one. So I don't. But in general, I don't. If you look at that, you're not already seeing R23, which is further away from the highway than these ones are, already have ambient noise levels that don't meet that threshold. So.
It should be noted, but not to lessen their concerns. I think everyone pretty much knew that this was going to be coming through. It's been pretty public, unless the developers didn't tell them. Obviously they could have concerns about it, but those studies prove that it just isn't warranted. It just doesn't.
I did speak with one of the owners, R3, this week actually, and when she purchased in 2022, she was aware that it was coming. Mm-hmm. And again, from Scott's, in addition to Scott's comments, if there's something the city can do, please note that that GV17 and GV18 are under study right now for noise, and look at all those homes right next to Rockland Road, east of the trail to Ryan Road. You're likely going to have the same situation. So what you do here, you're likely, if you're going to treat them that way, I would be surprised if we don't see a very similar situation happen there because of all those homes immediately adjacent to where there isn't a lot of noise happening on an ambient basis.
You mean like the North Melcorn houses?
The ones on, right below our business park, I guess you could say. Yeah, where our green space is currently because it's undeveloped.
Okay, that's all I got.
Thank you. Other questions or comments while we're here? Alderperson Carpenter.
So on the bridge, the GV16, that's funded by that 50 million from the state or the federal then?
Correct.
So they're pretty confident when you keep bringing up, if we have money left from that we can slide it over to the other one. Or you said other prices might go up. Are they that confident that 50 million is going to cover all that?
Tentatively, as we speak, yes, right now. Okay. What that dollar amount is, we don't know.
I'm just saying, because you bring that up all the time, and it's like the other ones are possibly going over, so I guess we shouldn't hold our breath to think we may get something. We can wish. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim?
Yeah, so two things. Funding and timing on these projects is always something that the county strives to give their best estimate for, but funding and timing can change based on cost, based on grant availability. If we were able to cut our costs in half by waiting a year because we can access other funding, our team and the county are going to be very strategic all along the way to not only keep the project on schedule, but be smart about what makes sense to keep things moving. And Scott, I think you mentioned this, but as we close out, I do also want to re-highlight that the county website does have a public comment form on it right now, and they are asking that comments be submitted by June 9th. So that's available for anyone who wants to submit comments to Brown County.
Very good, thank you. Other questions or comments? And I should note as well, our two representatives, Representative Ben Franklin and then State Senator Jamie Wall, are both proponents of infrastructure and this project, as is Senator Wimberger, who used to represent De Pere, and he's also been very influential and supportive of the project. So we have some pretty good players in place. We've had some conversations. Again, the county's the lead, but we work together on this. So we're hoping to find some more. Alderperson Hanson, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, just to build off of that, Senator Wimberger did make remarks at the groundbreaking, and one interesting point he did make was, he talked about the brutalist architectural style in the 70s and 80s, and he did urge the municipalities to not cut corners with aesthetics. Obviously, if we can get more money from the state, that will help, but he did encourage us to be open to making aesthetic upgrades. And I know, Scott, you had mentioned, I don't remember when this was, but the staining on the bridge columns, that might not even be a possibility anymore, correct?
To go with the circular columns, correct.
'Cause I know we had a lot of discussion about that.
We did.
Yeah.
I think at Public Works, when we had our discussions, we actually are kind of in favor of making sure we do it right.
Yep.
If I recall correctly, at Public Works, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
I'm glad that Senator Wimberger had stated that as well.
Yes.
So that's very encouraging. Other questions or comments? I'm sure we're going to have more of these informational things as we go forward, and we'll do the thing on the website too. Scott?
So I just add on the aesthetics that we had a lot of discussion, not only at the board and council on GV 15 for retaining wall, as well as the bridge. Once we know the more specifics of the design, because I know I was asked to give an update where we're at. We passed on our recommendations, but like I said, the bridge is kind of on hold as they're, revalue engineering that, and as well as we don't know what the type of retaining walls and what they're going to need there because of the railroad bridge. But once we know that information, we'll be bringing that back to the board and council, kind of an update there. We may have to make some other decisions on aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions or comments? And again, we as a body, and the staff we deliver this information, to the public. We get asked a lot. So getting this information is very, very important, very timely. So if you ever have questions, don't hesitate to ask so we can deliver the information to all of you so you can pass that on. So, Scott, thank you very much. Very well done. Up next, item 15, Resolution 2556, supporting Brown County's purchase of DS-300 voting tabulators.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Ledman, a second by Alderperson Gantz. Discussion or comments? Alderperson Hanson.
Yeah, so I see this resolution would be going to the three supervisors who represent De Pere on the county board. Just wondering some of the context for what led to this resolution being brought forward. Is there concern that the county board might not approve funding for these machines?
This came about with discussions with the Brown County Clerk, Pat Moynihan. 10, 12 years ago, when all of our DS-200s were purchased, the county did a group purchase, and that way they are able to maintain consistency through all the municipalities in the county. But because of changes to their funding structure since then, it was looking like each municipality would have to purchase their own. In talks with our finance director, we had set aside, or we're hoping to set aside money in this year's capital improvement budget purchase them. They're about $10,000 a piece. It was the most recent estimate that I had. But if the county is able to figure out a purchasing plan for them, then that way we know we're all using the same equipment. It's consistent throughout all of the municipalities in the county.
Okay.
All good. Other questions or comments? All right. That said, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Quigley,
Aye.
Mayor Boyd,
Aye.
Carpenter,
Aye.
Estercon,
Aye.
Gantz,
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Hunniger,
Aye.
Ledvina,
Aye.
P-Rock.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 16, Resolution 2557, approving budget amendment to accept donation from Downtown De Pere, Inc.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alderperson Gantz, seconded by Alderperson Carpenter. Discussion or comments? Alderperson Hanson.
Yeah, just wondering why definitely De Pere had to accept this donation and not just having it come directly to the city.
How much time do you have? It's just how it worked out. They're actually the ones when we went to try to solicit the money. We had to work through them because of their status, and it could not be a government municipal agency that could solicit the money for the I'm trying to think of what it was, for the tourism grant
Yep.
special thing.
Okay.
Yeah, again, that was the year of the life that Marty and I will never get back. We want this done and over with. And it should be recognized that it is a $50,000 donation from the county. So we are very, very grateful for that donation. But yes, the pass-through is definitely De Pere.
Okay.
Hope that helps. It's just the way it works. He even moved chairs, Marty. You see him? He's all set to go.
Closer to the door.
Other questions or comments? All right, seeing there are no more, roll call vote, please.
Mayor Boyd,
Aye.
Alderperson Carpenter,
Aye.
Estercon,
Aye.
Gantz,
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Hunniger,
Aye.
Ledvina,
Aye.
P-Rock,
Aye.
Quigley.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you again. Big thanks to the county for kicking in for that. Item 17, Resolution 2558, authorizing agreement for consulting services with Utility Service Company, 2025 reservoir inspections.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson P-Rock, seconded by Alderperson Quigley. Discussion or comments? We have none, and we have a roll call vote.
Alderperson Carpenter,
Aye.
Estercon,
Aye.
Gantz,
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Hunniger,
Aye.
Ledvina,
Aye.
P-Rock,
Aye.
Quigley,
Aye.
Mayor Boyd.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 18, Resolution 2559, authorizing contractor agreement with Slack Painting LLC, 9th Street Tower cleaning and coating repair.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alderperson Carpenter, seconded by Alderperson Ledvina. Discussion or comments? We have none, but we have a roll call vote.
Alderperson Estercon,
Aye.
Gantz,
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Hunniger,
Aye.
Ledvina,
Aye.
P-Rock,
Aye.
Quigley,
Aye.
Mayor Boyd,
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 19, Resolution 2560, authorizing Third Amendment to consultant agreement with Short-Elliott Hendrickson for the MSC expansion.
Move to approve.
I'll second. Motion by Alderperson Hanson, seconded by me. Discussion or comments? That said, roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Gantz,
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Hunniger,
Aye.
Ledvina,
Aye.
P-Rock,
Aye.
Quigley,
Aye.
Mayor Boyd,
Aye.
Carpenter,
Aye.
Estercon.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 20, Resolution 2561, approving sanitary sewer easement, 823 North Broadway Street, parcel ED 128.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Motion Alderperson Carpenter, seconded by me. Discussion or comments? We have none, and roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Hanson,
Aye.
Hunniger,
Aye.
Ledvina,
Aye.
P-Rock,
Aye.
Quigley,
Aye.
Mayor Boyd,
Aye.
Carpenter,
Aye.
Estercon,
Aye.
Gantz.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you. Item 21, Resolution 2562, approving uniform affiliation agreement with UW Green Bay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alderperson Levina, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. Discussion or comments? It appears we have none. That said, roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Conacher,
Aye.
Ledvina,
Aye.
P-Rock,
Aye.
Quigley,
Aye.
Mayor Boyd,
Aye.
Carpenter,
Aye.
Esser Khan,
Aye.
Gantz,
Aye.
Hanson.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Item 22, Resolution 2563, approving Epic Care Link access agreements with Bellin Hospital, Gunderson Lutheran Health System, and Bellin Health System Amplify. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Discussion or comments? All right, we have none. Roll call vote, please. Wasn't it?
Alderperson Ledvina,
Aye.
P-Rock,
Aye.
Quigley,
Aye.
Mayor Boyd,
Aye.
Carpenter,
Aye.
Esser Khan,
Aye.
Gantz,
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Conacher.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Item 23, consideration and possible action on the negotiation of EMS contracts with the town of Ledgeview and the town of Lawrence. Please take notice that the council may convene in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 1985-1 for agenda item 23, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. The council may then reconvene thereafter in open session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 1985-2 to take action on any matter discussed in closed session or for such other purposes as are allowed by law. I'll make a motion to go to closed session.
Second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Ledvina. We need a roll call vote, please.
Alderperson P-Rock,
Aye.
Quigley,
Aye.
Mayor Boyd,
Aye.
Carpenter,
Aye.
Esser Khan,
Aye.
Gantz,
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Conacher,
Aye.
Ledvina.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. We're going to go into closed session. Okay, we're now back in regular session discussing item 23, consideration and possible action on negotiation of EMS contracts with the town of Ledgeview and the town of Lawrence. Yes, could you please do that?
I'll make a motion to have staff proceed as discussed in closed session.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Ledvina, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Any additional discussion?
Pending us.
Oh, Alderperson Conacher, I'm so sorry, I really apologize. It's late, long, whatever.
So many women on the council. It's so
There really, really
confusing.
are.
Women.
All those women.
I
You
don't
need a
care
roll call
either
vote or a
way, but
regular?
Amy wanted it.
Okay. That said, any discussion or comments? Well, it shouldn't be. That said, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Up next, future agenda items. Does anyone have anything? You do not. Up next, I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by me, seconded by
That time
Alderperson
it is
Gantz.
not Conacher.
Give it to.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're officially adjourned. Thank you, everybody.